Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiskey Kitchen and Whiskey Web. It's Wednesday, let's drink some whiskey. This time we've got a very interesting unboxing for you. Something that I'm sure not many of you have seen before. Apparently this little box here was created sometime in the 70s or 80s. So this is probably as old as I am, if not older. It's blended Scotch whisky. Product of Scotland, just like me. It's from Peter Thompson in Perth. I was actually born in Perth as well. So who knows, maybe it's the same year I was born. And it's a curling stone. It's 1 2/3 full ounces. Distilled, blended and bottled in Scotland, and interestingly 70 proof, so this is the old way of doing proof. It's 40% alcohol. If this was an American proof that would be 35% alcohol, but we know whiskey's got to be 40% or over, so this is the old system of doing proof, or the imperial maybe. The cardboard is quite flimsy, but the contents is very sturdy, because what we have here, folks, is a curling stone with blended Scotch whisky, Beneagles Blended Scotch Whisky. Now, apparently this stuff, it was one of the original grocers' whiskies. So Peter Thompson, he was a grocer, and all the grocer stores, they used to have their own brands of whiskey. So yeah, he put his own brand of whiskey in here, and he called it Beneagles. So I think it was around 1908 that the grocery store started, and then 1922 was when he launched this Beneagles whiskey. And then it was kind of a local Scottish fair. I think it was actually in the top 12 whiskies in Scotland at one stage, but the thing that really took it to the world was when they teamed up with a company called, I think it's called Beneagles, that make these like ceramic curling stones and other weird and wonderful items like ospreys and such like, filled with spirits. So this one was kindly donated to me by a lovely old man called Danny. And I think he'd had it in his cupboard for a long time, and he just thought, I'm never going to drink or use this, so here, why don't you have it, Leon? And I was like, okay. So let's see if I can get in this thing. Now, the earlier editions of this whiskey, you actually got in through the top. Those were the ones made in the 1970s. Now, from the research I've done, in 1980, 1981, they started doing it from the bottom. So that's what makes me think this is probably like a 1980 edition here. And there's a little gold label there as well on the bottom saying Beneagles there. With, funnily enough, a big, well, looks like a picture of an osprey there with a fish in its talons. I wonder if it's any good. I mean, this is really quite interesting, because obviously this whiskey hasn't been aging in the ceramic like it would have in wood. I mean, this is probably only like an 8 or 10-year-old whiskey or something like that, but it's been sat in this thing for 40 years probably. Could be awful, but who knows, it could be good. Apparently the whiskey itself was quite a lot of Speyside malt, with a little bit of smokiness, so there's a bit of Islay whiskey in there. But there would have been a lot more malt whiskey compared to modern day blends. So maybe we're talking 30, 40, 50% malted whiskey, and then the rest grain whiskey, compared to modern blends, which are probably more like 20, 30% malt, and then 70 to 80% grain whiskey. So it's open. Alright, here goes. Now, for anyone that says curling is not a big sport, I beg to differ. I remember the Olympics, Winter Olympics, maybe 2 or 3 of them ago, and there was 8 million people in the UK watching the gold medal match, which I think Great Britain won. So when there's a big game on, everyone gets involved, and there's a lot of closet curling fans out there. And now that I'm in Canada and I'm come from Scotland, these are two dreadnoughts of the curling world, you know, big curling nations. So this is a nice dram that celebrates the best of both Canada and Scotland. So we've got a little box, we've got our curling stone, we've got our little gold label here. But what about the whiskey? You know, I was setting myself up for horror. I thought this would just be like one of those things that instantly repels you. But I think that's a pretty good seal. I mean, this is still very, very good condition, I would say, for the age. Quite a lot of malt, fruits, hint of heather and smoke. There's a slight funky, gluey note going on there. Let's try. Wow. Not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, this is whiskey made the old-fashioned way. A lot of the whiskey that was made in this time, there would have been like coal-fired stills or direct-fired stills. There would have been more copper worm condensers. You know, it would have been more traditional peat maltings or floor maltings. There's a lot of complexity here. There's a lot of good stuff going on. There's a darkness to it, a richness. I'm not sure if any colouring was added or anything like that, but the colour's pretty good. Apparently you can pick these up for only £2.50 on the auction sites, so it's not even that expensive for this beautiful little ceramic presentation. Some glorious old style whiskey from the old country. Yeah, not too bad. I'm going to enjoy this dram. Maybe I'll stick a little curling match on the telly and relive that gold medal all those years ago. And yeah, if you ever get a chance to try Beneagles whiskey, or if you have any knowledge about this stuff, I mean, like I couldn't find a lot of information, but maybe you're a big collector and you've got something to share. So I'd love to hear your wisdom and thoughts if you know anything about this stuff. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that little unboxing. Here's to curling, here's to Canada, here's to Scotland, and here's to all you at home too. Cheers.